All right, it is, according to my clock, 6:02, but it's 6:42. And it is Monday, November 22nd. This is the meeting of the Townsend Board of Health. Can I get a roll call, please?
Gavin Byers. James LaQueer.
And Chris Nosella. Additions or deletions, Carla?
You have 198 Pierce Road.
Okay, Rick, that's you, right?
Yep. We can do that under 1.11.
Okay, you want to move it to other permits?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, so we have a COVID update.
Alright, so I gave Carlo the numbers that were released on Thursday last week by Mass DPH, so if it's not up on the web, then it should be shortly.
It's on there.
Okay. So we did have a jump in cases. So going back and looking at, last time we met was
The 12th.
the 12th, okay. So comparing it against those numbers, on the 12th, they reported 21 cases in Townsend. On Thursday last week, which was the 18th, they reported 37 cases. So a jump of 16 cases over the week. As far as percent positivity, Townsend was at 3.9% on November 12th. And on November 18th, that number went up to 6.66%. The state numbers also jumped, so the state went from 1.87% on the 12th to 2.26% on the 18th. So we're kind of seeing an increase in cases in the state, and definitely throughout our district, we're getting an increase in calls for case tracing. As far as the vaccination rates go, you're starting to see that 5 to 11 year age group bump your numbers up because they just became eligible for the pediatric vaccine. So 12% of that population have received their first dose. Didn't really see a big increase anywhere else in the age groups, but it did increase the individuals with at least one dose per capita from 68% to 70%. And then the fully vaccinated increased 1 percentage point from 62% to 63%, still lagging behind the state average. So Middlesex County was at 71%, and she doesn't have the state numbers on here, but I believe they were around 78% or so.
Rick, do you know if any of those, the large number were cluster groups or?
So yeah, I did pull the information. So as far as an age breakdown of those 16 cases that came up, or actually it's a little bit more. It's all the ones that came in recently. So the 0 to 11 age group made up 6 of those cases. The 20 to 29 made up 11. The 30 to 39 were 4. 40 to 49 were 5. 50 to 59 were 7, and 60 to 69 was 4. And out of those, 14 were vaccinated, and 22 either were not vaccinated or were unknown, and that does include children under 12 that at the time weren't eligible for the vaccine. But there was some household transmission, and that kind of accounted for most of the clusters that we saw. There was also a couple of cases that indicated they had gone to a college Halloween party at Fitchburg State, and some of those people didn't answer their phone, but fell into that same age group. So it's possible that there was more than we know about connected with that party. But Jim had said he didn't really see any trend that kind of pointed to one event. It was household spread for the most part. The other things I wanted to bring up were the state did come out and they updated their eligibility for the booster shots. So before it was older people and people that might have worked in certain risk situations. And so now they came out and said anybody who's 18 plus is eligible for the booster period. They're suggesting that if you had received Moderna or Pfizer for your first vaccine, that 6 months after you go back and get your booster shot. And with the Johnson & Johnson, it would be 2 months after you get your shot. And they are, mixing and matching now, so regardless of what you had received for your first shot, you can go back and get any of the approved vaccines as your booster dose.
So you can just mix and match, nobody cares anymore?
For the booster.
Yeah, okay.
And then for the, we did hold that pediatric vaccine clinic last week on Tuesday the 16th, and we had about 86 people show up, so we didn't fill every slot, but we did end up giving 86 kids their first shot in the series.
So 2 from Townsend, probably?
So it was Townsend, Ashby, Pepperell was who it was open to. I don't know what the breakdown was as far as where those people lived, but it was
Yeah.
86 total for the North Middlesex district.
Okay.
That's all I had for COVID, but we did want to talk about the town meeting that was coming up, and if you guys had any thoughts on how you wanted to suggest to the Board of Selectmen they handle kind of health and safety protocols, and then I think you guys also wanted to revisit the mask requirement or recommendation for the town buildings.
Well, if we just start with the masks, I recommend to the board that we go back to wearing masks again in the town hall. I think where we missed that 1 week because of Veterans Day, we didn't get our report to tell us that it was going up. So I think we really should recommend that we go back to wearing masks in town buildings again.
Want a motion on that?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion that we go back to wearing our masks in the town hall again, so we're informed by the state with other things to do.
And so this wasn't a decision of the state, it was made locally. So I guess all I would say is, you don't have to make the decision tonight, but for the next meeting, maybe come back with some ideas as far as criteria that you want to put in place to have the mask requirement stay in place or remove it, and start thinking about what that trigger might be for you.
I gotta be honest with you, I think this is something we need to do, just for the town buildings, to protect the workers from the public and the public from the workers. It's not a hard thing to do, we've done it before, and I mean, I'd like to hear what the board thinks.
I think what Rick's saying is to prevent from every meeting having this come up and make the decision based on that moment.
Yeah,
Like what I've kind of been talking about is, what are gonna be the triggers to put us in a position to wear masks? And what are gonna be the triggers to put us in a position to not wear masks? That way we can just look at the data
yeah,
and the decisions made based on what, is going on, whether it's
yeah.
a 3-week study number, a 2-week, whatever the number is. I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but I think that's kind of what
Is that what you're kind of thinking? Rick?
Exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
so we had kind of briefly talked about it after we had held the site assignment hearing for 3-Wheeler Road, is that we were gonna think about maybe, so it wasn't, we weren't bouncing back and forth with the requirement that it would stay in place if numbers went up, and then you saw a steady decline for X number of weeks, whatever you guys decided that was, until you lifted it. And then at the time when you had put it in place, 25 cases was kind of that number that you had looked at,
Yeah.
where you had said, we're over 25, let's put that requirement in place now. So just kind of thinking about that, what do you want to use as your trigger? Is it a combination of things? So could it be a percent positivity below this number of cases below this number, for X number of weeks, and then we'll suggest that the requirement be dropped. Something along those lines, but you don't want to just put a number in place, because I think you're going to bounce back and forth too much, and we've kind of seen that in the past few
Yes,
weeks.
we're looking for just basically a low number to remove
Well-
masks, and that would, anything above would keep masks on.
Yeah, but like, the percent positivity rate thing, I hate that metric,
Yeah,
because it's based on, go ahead.
no, I was gonna ask you about that, because you weren't here at the last meeting, and we were talking about the percentages that you give us.
So he sent an email.
Yeah, so I only sent that to Gavin,
Oh, all
because he
right,
had asked a
I was
question.
concerned about the
So
numbers not quite
The
working.
percent positivity is the number of tests that are run during a particular week, how many of those come back positive. So it is, you know, dependent on the number of tests that are run. So you
Oh,
could
I see.
have a low number of tests run and a high percentage of those come back positive, and you have a high percent positivity. If people decide not to go get tested, then your percent positivity, it could go up or down depending on how many people are actually positive. But it is dependent on people going to get tested.
Oh, okay, so it isn't just a basic number of
It's
13
not
divided by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and this is my problem with it,
Yeah.
right? So we live in Townsend. We have, what I'm gonna guess is less people
Hmm.
that go into the city and work versus people that live in other cities east of here in Middlesex County, right?
Yeah,
Some of those employers
Mhm.
require all their employees to be tested.
Mhm.
So let's say, let's just use town X is east of here, right?
yep,
And they have 10,000 people in their town, and 200 of those people get tested every week for their job,
Mhm.
right? In Townsend, where we may not have as many people, and I don't know what the number is, I'm just playing the scenario out.
yeah.
Let's say we have less people that work somewhere that have mandatory testing in order to be employed, right? So the only time in a place like Townsend, generally speaking, people are getting tested is if they don't feel well.
Right,
So you're taking, let's say, 100 people who don't feel well and go to the doctor, and they get tested,
Mhm.
right? Your positivity rate, that percentage, is going to be higher versus a town where people who feel okay and they're going to work all get tested, right? You might have 200 or 500 or 1,000 people that get tested. They're gonna have a lower percentage. And what I'm getting at is, I don't wanna be able to take that percentage positivity number, compare it to the rest of Middlesex County, and say, 5%, that's our number, no more or no less. I think we need to take a combination of percentage rate, a number of people infected, whether it be 25 or 20, or, you know, whatever it is, and a duration of time to use as our criteria,
okay.
right?
Do you have any recommendations, or do you wanna look into it more?
I don't have recommendations. This is just kind of the sensitivity that I have with what we've been doing, going flip-flopping back
Yeah.
and forth with this stuff, right? We
Mm.
need to kinda, unfortunately, we need to have a longer conversation, I think,
Yeah.
to come
We'll
up
put
with
Put
this
this on work
criteria.
session, probably for the next meeting, which would, give us time to, sit and discuss it. As opposed, because it's not in the work session, it's just, it's in appointments and hearings, it's
Right.
not
Right.
really in a work session is what we need.
Do you wanna have another meeting next, well, your next meeting isn't until December 13th. Can you meet next Monday and just have this as a topic? I really think it's time sensitive, especially because you're gonna wanna talk about the town meeting.
I can't be here next Monday.
Okay. Any other days available?
Rick, how's your schedule look?
Give me 1 second.
And I don't wanna I don't wanna say we have to have a work session either, but
Hmm.
I think there's some more due diligence that we need to put
Yeah.
into making.
Oh, and I agree with you 100%. We used to basically use 25 was our number pretty much. I mean, because we used to work out of the red, yellow, and green. And that's what we used to use. They don't do that anymore, so it's a little more difficult for us. We can basically go with just numbers because, percentages, like you said, that's completely relevant to our thing because of the way it's done.
Yeah,
We know we're a little over 9,000 people in town, and we can go by the number of people, but
Yeah, and,
I just,
I mean, did that make sense?
Yeah,
Kinda?
yeah, so I can look at some of the other metrics too to see if they make a little bit more sense to consider. I mean, it could just be a number, your population's not gonna, fluctuate a little bit, but nothing that's gonna, have any real effect on those numbers. So you could look at it as just a case count number and keep it simple. But I'll look at some of the other metrics that they offer to see if maybe they make more sense for you to consider for this piece of it.
And what does Neshoba kind of recommend is,
It's not really, it doesn't come from us, so, we represent 16 towns,
Yeah.
and each of those towns have made their own decisions on how they wanna do it. Littleton's had a mask requirement throughout the town for quite a while now. And I know that they kinda hired an outside consultant, to help them
figure
with
that
those
out?
determinations. I think it was Lancaster had done something similar, they hired a COVID-19 coordinator that's done a few things for them. So, I can try to find out what they had used for their metrics and put in place. Most of the towns at this point are requiring masks in the town buildings. I think there's only 2 towns that we cover that have town-wide mask requirements. But I can, send an email out to the other agents and see what those towns are doing right now. And then look at the data the state has available to see if it's more applicable to towns and put it all in front of you. And it might take, a couple of meetings to kind of figure out where you wanna go, but I think the bigger thing right now is making a decision on the town meeting and how you'd like to handle that. And then, we can, maybe look at the data the next time we meet, see what makes sense, and if you guys are ready to make a decision, then you can, or you can, take another week or 2 to think about it, and then, kind of put that, your decision and kind of trigger in writing, so it's something that's there.
Yeah, it's,
that's probably, if you can get that information for us, and, just to give us an idea what the surrounding towns are doing. I mean, it's not that we care what anyone else does. We have our own problems to worry about, not what, Ashby and, Pepperell do. We're more concerned with our own citizens than anything else, but at least we can kind of get a ballpark if everyone's kind of all in the same idea and not, so we can make our own decision on what we think is best for our town. I would like to ask the board for now to recommend to the selectmen to have masks put back on. And we'll work out
yeah.
our numbers or percentages on what we, as a board, would like to see done, so that we can just have Carla shoot an email and go, yep, our numbers are up, you gotta stay with these, and our numbers are down over 2 weeks or whatever, so you can, let them know what to do, and we don't really need to revisit this every time. The number goes from 24 to 37 to 12 to 15, whatever. We'll have something in place so that it's just implemented. You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do is, I'd like a motion just to let the selectmen know that we'd like to see them put the mask back on for town buildings.
Okay, I had a motion on the floor before we get into the
Yes.
long
Yep.
debate.
Yes,
Essentially the same.
I second that.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carla, you will get that out to our selectmen to let them know?
Absolutely, and then we will next discuss at our regular scheduled meeting on December 13th, which we'll discuss the time, unless you want to do that right now. Time of meetings. Rick, Gavin, I know we had talked briefly about
Yeah.
changing it from 6:30 to 5 or 5:30. Is everyone okay with that?
What, 5:30?
5:30?
We can do that.
I get no problem with it.
Yep,
Yeah, that works.
yeah, I
All
like
right,
that.
so
that
we'll move it
idea.
up an hour, yeah,
Okay, 5:30 for next meeting?
please.
So for December 13th, our next meeting, instead of 6:30, will be at 5:30. We will discuss the policy on how we keep the mandate for the masks, but you still need to talk about your town meeting.
Yes, that one.
What day is the town meeting?
I don't know.
I know the email went out last week and they said a month, so I would assume, you know,
It's the 14th.
14th.
14th?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think, you know,
December
just,
14th is the town meeting?
that's what he just said, yeah,
So
so I think,
that's the day after our meeting.
Yeah.
and I
Kind of
think,
short
yeah,
notice for the people, isn't it?
yeah, just to
Yeah.
be fair, you probably need to make a decision tonight.
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you guys,
Okay.
we've all been to many town meetings. The amount of people that is different every time. But usually, the ones that I've been to are pretty full. I don't know is that they can even hold it in the Great Hall and keep 6 feet. I don't think that's even feasible.
Are we back to 6 feet separation at this time?
I think we actually put that in,
Because even at the football games, there's no
Yeah.
separation.
no,
that's outside.
So yeah,
That's
the only,
outside.
the only things that you guys have put in right up to this point is just the mask requirement, which the Board of Selectmen put in place as a policy, so there isn't
Hmm.
anything 6 feet, you know, that comes from the guidance that the state had put out when they
Yeah.
were a little bit more
Years
involved in this.
ago.
Yeah, so they don't have a 6-foot rule anymore?
It's still there, it's just not something that, you know, is being implemented right now, at least by us. So the only
Okay.
real requirements in place, as far as social distancing, are in the schools where they require 3 feet between the kids.
Where are the other venues that town meetings usually are? Do they have them at the high school the last couple of times?
Last year, they were outside, I know.
Yeah, they were just all outside
No,
the
I don't see
library,
that
you're not
happening
gonna do
this
that.
month,
No, not in this.
not in January.
Any recommendations, guys?
I mean, we gotta ask if we can do it at a school with a gymnasium, right, because we're not fitting even,
Well, if there's no
We're not
6-foot
fit-
rule, it doesn't matter, as long as everybody wears a mask, but.
Everybody's got the mask on,
Hmm,
and then it would be at the individual's discretion whether they'll want to attend or not.
hmm.
I would say if we're implementing masks and we're having a town meeting, we would really, it would behoove us to at least try to maintain 3 feet.
3
Yeah.
feet.
I mean, if that's what they're doing in schools, I'm not comfortable saying,
Yeah,
you don't have to socially distance, but we're asking you to wear a mask.
yeah. Well, that's required if the selectmen say that there's masks in the town buildings, and that's required, you have to. That's not an option.
Right, so in conjunction with that, I mean, what's the capacity of upstairs?
400? Ish, that takes the balcony in
450,
also?
I think it's 450.
450,
That's a lot
yeah,
of people in that
yeah.
room.
So,
And
and
it
then,
has
and then
been-
you
it
divide
has been
that,
full.
what is the quorum? Is it supposed to be 70 people?
70, 75.
Yeah.
70, 75.
Yeah.
Do you think that you could get 75 people up there socially distancing 3 feet apart?
Why not? There's $400, a 400 quota,
Yeah.
it's knocking it down to
Yeah,
2.
that's,
you got the
you're talking
balcony.
about
Alright.
that's the minimum
But
though.
if people are coming together, then they can sit in groups, so you can have like, you know, family pods.
Right,
Mhm.
right, so, and that increases the capita a little more, so it actually sounds like it might be doable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. What do you guys think?
okay.
It's just one of those things where the 6-foot rule, you said is still there, but it's not implemented
It's
anywhere.
still there, it's just the only social distancing that's actually being required or enforced right now is in the schools, and it's 3 feet.
3 feet, okay. Wow.
I mean, can we recommend finding a larger space, maybe at the high school gymnasium, and if we absolutely can't, you know, okay, but our recommendations try to find a larger space?
Well, they have in the past, and
Yeah.
when things get crazy, they set up TV sets in the different rooms and spread people out. I don't know if that even a good idea at this time.
It's still possible to be a recommendation to the selectmen, though.
Well, yes, we
And if
can,
we recommend that to the selectmen and they
Yeah.
reject it, they're gonna
Yeah.
have to tell us what they think we should do.
yeah. Well, basically, we are just making a recommendation. We're not telling we're gonna shut the place down because, you know, people are, you know, too close together. And our job is basically to recommend to them what we think they should do, and they're gonna make the call on what actually gets done. So what do you guys wanna recommend? Obviously, masks will be worn.
Yeah.
Do you wanna try with 3 feet apart?
If they go to a gymnasium at one of the schools,
Yeah,
that's gonna give you at least double what you have upstairs for
Right.
seating. And I don't know if we're gonna get a real big, crowd anyway, other than the fact we have to have the quorum.
I don't know what's on the agenda either right now for the town meeting,
Yeah.
you know, if it's not a bunch of hot ticket items.
yeah. I think this one's usually finance, mostly. I think that's
Yeah,
what this one's
it's
more of.
usually cleaning up the things that they couldn't get done,
Yeah.
at the end of the year with the books and whatnot.
Yeah, this isn't a big town meeting where they have, you know, rule changes and all that stuff. I think this one's more financial than anything else, but I haven't seen the agenda, so I don't know what's actually on it.
It's my opinion, you have to have a bigger area than what we have upstairs right now, just to even think about doing a 3-foot separation.
Yeah.
Distancing. So I'd recommend that we, this is kind of funny, I'll recommend that we recommend to the selectmen that they do it neat.
Yes, do
Too
a
easy.
3-foot,
Yeah, suggested
Like,
3-foot, and
and they
And
may,
find
and
a
find a
venue,
bigger venue,
and find a
like
venue.
the school.
that's our recommendation,
Gymnasium or
and if they
something.
follow and abide, they do, if they don't,
Yeah.
we still recommend it.
Is that a motion,
We
Jim?
can- Yeah, you wanna make that a
I
motion?
just turned it into it if I don't have to repeat it.
That's why I asked.
All right,
I'll second that.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, so we'll see what happens with that one. Okay. Anything else on COVID, Rick?
Not that I have.
Okay, so we're gonna go to 1.4, which is 478 Main Street, proposed dog grooming facility. Questions?
What's happened since the last meeting with the building inspector and everything else?
I haven't talked to the building inspector. Rick can tell us what he knows.
So I haven't talked to him, but I did get his written determination based on the use application that was submitted. And summarizing it, she basically, it's not allowed by right use, but it is a use that could be allowed by a special permit. You read it too, so I think
Yeah,
that that's what
which
it essentially
basically would, should have to go to the ZBA to get a zoning.
I already have,
change.
my date's January 12th because
Hmm.
my application sat on a desk for a month and no one ever saw it. So I didn't get it, to get into the December 8th, so I'm closed for 2 more months.
Yeah,
So I already turned in my application.
and I was curious, if, just as being on the planning board for a year, they also do change of use on properties, so I didn't know if that needed to be done because you're taking a residential property and turning it into a commercial business. But that's ZBA as far as the approval to do that. I don't know about the use change, if planning has even been contacted.
I can say that he did,
Unfortunately, what I've been told is that we can only do what we do, and I think, I have my opinion on it, and I think that it being a commercial business, even though it is in the garage and not in the main house, that I believe it should have a separate facility for the business. Meaning a dry tank or another septic system or something. Now, I would like to hear what you guys think.
haven't confronted this one before, I have thought about it in the past
Yeah.
week and a half here. But I still have concerns with the septic system because the hairs and stuff that go down there can be a problem. And, a tight tank or something would have to be pumped periodically. The number of animals she's doing, if she stayed at that pace, wouldn't be quite so damaging, but if she increased her animals, that will make it a different story. The sad part is I'm in favor of her having a business, I'm just
Right.
trying to figure out the stipulation
Mhm.
for guidelines.
Yeah, we all want to
Yeah.
have a business, we just want to make it correct by our board, that's all.
Yeah. In the event that she should cause damage to her system and it's gotta be repaired, somebody's gotta take on a healthy chunk of money to fix it if it goes into failure because of the, whatever chemicals are said, they, they claim that they're septic, usable. What do you, need to follow me with or what?
Yeah, I kinda agree with you. And my only concern is the hair thing, which we felt like was more of a plumbing code issue. I'm not crazy about the numbers.
Right,
I do feel like you'll have the opportunity to operate 6 days a week, whether that's the intent or not. So that does make me a little bit concerned.
If I was to groom that many days a week, I wouldn't be working such long days. I only get to work Wednesday and Friday when my husband's home to watch the children.
Yeah,
So
no,
I wouldn't be doing those
Right.
long days. My job's to be a mom. I wouldn't,
yeah.
that's why I do it.
I mean, I think I would feel better if if you put hours of operation that were like 2 days a week or 3 days a week that helped justify your numbers. I don't know if we can do anything like that.
we can actually put restrictions in, like water usage. Yeah, that way we can check the flow of water, if she is on town water. It'll be easy to look up and check, because we'll know the flow of, Rick will know the flow chart, right, that,
Yeah, so I put some stuff in the whole piece that I put together for you last time. And so, yeah, I think the big question is kind of assigning a number to it. So X number of gallons per day, as far as our operation goes. And then figuring out whether, that you're gonna allow it to go to the system. So I did kind of ask around the office, and seems like there's a few different ways to go about doing it. So one is the industrial waste holding tank, which is essentially a tight tank that we don't approve, it's approved at the state level. The other is you determine a flow for the business use, and then you see whether the system existing has capacity available for it or not.
So we determined, you determined that it was within the flow usage.
When I looked at the water meter reading she gave, it seems like, so one of the conversations we had is, it is a 4-bedroom system that went in, it is a 4-bedroom house. I believe you had said that you only used 3 of the 4 bedrooms.
Yeah, I bought it as a 3-bedroom.
And so, one of the options was to, eliminate a bedroom from the house to open up 110 gallons per day of flow for the dog grooming portion of it. Whether that's enough or not, it's really up to you guys to determine, but based on the water meter readings, I had come up with.
It's like 1.7, was it 111 was one number, and then 170?
It was 35 gallons per day based on the water meter reading numbers. And then if you follow Title V, if you use water meter readings, then you're supposed to double that number. So it would be a flow of 70 gallons per day based on the water meter reading she gave us from the similar business that she ran in Lunenburg.
I can get them.
I do have a question as to where this fourth bedroom is supposed to be in the house. It's a living room. It's not a bedroom.
So
There's
we
three
haven't done that,
bedrooms
so
upstairs.
it's on the assessor's card.
Right,
So
I
you'd
saw
have to-
that, I did go
yeah,
on the
so you'd have
site and
to-
saw that, but it's not a bedroom, it's a living room.
So you'd have to talk to them, because I don't know, they have different criteria than us to consider what a bedroom is and what a bedroom isn't. And
And
so,
in terms of structural changes that you had mentioned last time, like,
so
it's
so
a
for us,
200-year-old house and that's original part of the house. If I was to try and take that wall down, I mean, that would be ridiculous. There is a wall separating the staircase and the entryway and then this living room on the first floor, but it's a very old house.
so for us, a bedroom is defined as a room that's at least 70 square feet, has electricity, has a window, has heating, and a means of privacy, which we typically mean to take. It's got a door that can close and you can
Right.
create privacy. And so a lot of times when people present plans to us, they'll have, 4-bedroom system, they've got 3 bedrooms, and then they have or say a 3-bedroom system, they have 3 bedrooms, and then they have an office that has a door on it. And we resolve that by saying, can you take the door off the office? Then you don't have a means
I
of
don't mind
privacy.
taking a door down, I just, you had said structural changes.
I don't
Not as out of
think
my
I
budget,
did.
but out of practicality for such an old house, I'd be afraid of taking down the old plaster
Yeah,
wall.
so I don't think I
What
talked
happened?
about structural changes, because typically that's what we do is, you remove the door. Typically we'll say, can you make it something so, as soon as we leave, you don't throw a door back up. So maybe that's where you're thinking structural
So
changes.
how would I go about doing something like that? It's such an old house. There's 2 doors that lead to this living room downstairs. One door isn't on, the other door just has a dock board on it
You
for my
can,
son.
you can get an assessor
Yeah,
to go look and determine how many bedrooms are in your house. And if they say that that living room is a bedroom, if you remove those doors physically
right.
and re-trim the inside so there's no hinge capability, then it's
So
not
how
a
is
bedroom
that
anymore. And
no
you can get
hinge?
them to come back and say, okay, this is a 3-bedroom house.
I don't understand what that means, though, no hinge capability. You put a hinge on anything if you really wanted to.
Sorry, say that
I
again?
don't understand the no hinge capability, because you could throw a hinge on any door frame.
It's,
Like,
I agree, it's 100% semantic.
okay,
However, when the town is assessing your property,
right,
that's what, so I have a relative who needed to do an addition to their house, they live in Groton,
yeah,
and they can't build a new house, they had to do an addition, and they did a 70-foot plywood hallway connecting one home to another to make it an addition. When that was done, they tore the 70-foot hallway that was tarps and plywood down, along with the old house, and it was all legal.
The dates are totally different.
I understand that hinges don't seem like, but that's how that's the way town
right, I mean,
works.
there's just one door left, I can take that down, but it's just,
Totally.
it is a living room.
Yeah, so I guess, I would start with the assessors, have them come in and assess the property, tell you where the 4 bedrooms are, and then we can go from there. Or maybe there aren't 4 bedrooms.
They may agree with you, and I looked at your Zillow, not Zillow, but at the
Yeah.
real estate marketing, and it listed as a 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
The assessor may go and say, yep, this is a 3-bedroom house.
Because there is a loft that could technically be a bedroom, it's not heated, so that's not counted as the
Then,
living
then
space.
you have an argument that,
And then the sunroom is only heated by a wood-burning stove, so it's just a sunroom, more of a porch, so.
I think that's for their
What do you got to, Jim?
Well, the original system was a 3-bedroom system.
Right.
It was upgraded in '21, which is brand new recently, and it went to a 4-bedroom system.
It's a 1,500 gallon, right? Cause
It's
my,
not a
my
split.
ranch house, 3-bedroom ranch had a 1,500 gallon tank.
Yeah, it's
So is that technicality, like-
minimum size requirement under Title V.
So that
So it
would,
more has to do with the leaching area portion of it.
okay, which is small compared to my last house. I think.
They've got an outlet baffle on this already.
Yeah, there's that filter. So it's a dual compartment, 1,500 gallon,
Mhm.
with a gas baffle on the first outlet and a effluent filter on the second. So it was just put in recently, so, and I don't believe they asked for any variances, so it was under, met all of Townsend's requirements as well as Title V.
21 that was done? So that would have been this board?
Yeah,
I don't recall it.
Probably
because there was no variances and it wasn't a, different system.
Nobody signed any of that either.
Oh, no, this is a different one for our meeting later.
This is the,
Oh, he's got it, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gavin, when was that signed?
I'm the only one on this copy.
The only one that signed it?
Yeah, February.
Okay, I'm gonna make a recommendation.
Please do.
Due to the fact that this is an upgraded system designed for 4 bedrooms,
Mhm.
it's got all the bells and whistles as far as the filters, the baffles, the whole 9 yards. It's very well put design installed. With a, you say you operate 2 days?
And then a few nights a week I do,
Yeah.
as you'd see, just a couple
So
of
you
dogs
could
here and
operate
there.
3 days? You
Spot-
could, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My thoughts are to recommend to the board that it's a new system, it's got all the proper stuff in it. And if we compared human hair, children hair, and all kinds of hair that's gonna go through and get caught in these baffles for the amount of animals she's doing, taking it as a 3-bedroom and eliminating one of the bedrooms with a restriction for certain days a week of operation, hopefully maybe 2 days a week of operation, give her a special permit for that, and allow her to do her business because of the fact that her septic system has already got all the proper stuff in it.
Can we give her a year of that?
I
Check-
can't run
check-
my business on 2 days a week. I work on my husband's schedule, so
So,
sometimes I do 2 dogs, like they will come at 4 and 5
can
when
do-
he's home.
So we can have the hours of operation be 24 hours of operation or 12 hours of operation, and you can decide
When to operate.
when those days are. And then, and what we can do is look at the water readings, just to add on to your, say,
We're
we
here
can
for
look at the
discussion.
water readings, we can take a look at the baffles, and if everything looks cool, it looks good, then we can make a
Put that
different,
thing back on, please.
you know, determination on some limitations.
do your water bills, do they come out quarterly?
They are quarterly,
So, you know,
So we-
usually when DEP makes a similar decision, so determining flow based on water meter readings, one of the things that they require is that water records be submitted for the first year to basically do what you're talking about, make sure it's coming in as you had calculated.
calculated, yeah. So, and if we do a 2 days of operation,
I can't agree to that. It's my business.
well, it's not, you don't have to agree or not.
So-
We're
But I
trying to
can't
help.
run my
with-
business on 2 days a week.
What I'm saying is, if he's saying you could do 2 days of operation,
Right.
let's say that's 16 hours, right? 2 8-hour days. You can have those 16 hours be any day, 7 days a week. You wanna do it, as long as you stay within that 16 hours.
And am I supposed to report my hours of operation every week? I don't understand.
That would be recommended, yeah.
I'm
And then we
very
can take a
confused.
look.
I just don't even
So,
understand it.
how I had kind of thrown it out here, and it might be an easier way to do it, is to put a number of dogs per week that she could do, and that her records would be accessible to the Board of Health upon request. And you could do the same thing for the water meter reading. So rather than putting an hours cap, which is gonna be hard to enforce, and, you know, maybe a hardship for her to put, you know, X number of dogs that she can groom per week. And that, I think, would be fair, because you're basing your calculations on a water meter readings from her previous establishment. And, you know, obviously, if she wants to do more than that, then the number is gonna increase and possibly above and beyond what the system's designed for. And so if you put a, you know, cap on dogs, you had the ability to review her records if you so chose to, and then you ask for those water meter readings to be submitted on a quarterly basis, then I think you'd have a pretty good idea of what's going on and still have some control without telling her that she could work, you know, X number of hours,
Yeah.
which is just gonna be a hard thing to do.
Essentially, that's the same in a different
In a
aspect.
different aspect,
That's
yeah.
all it is. It's a little bit more, I wouldn't use the term professional. So I'm in favor of what Rick's just suggested, and I'd like to up the, well, with the dogs, it doesn't matter how many hours she's working anyway, by having a record about all the dogs she's doing. And the biggest thing is watching the quarterly water meter. So as long as she's not exceeding the gallons, then I think she'll be in good shape.
And I think, you know, so if that's the route that she wants to go and that's the route the board wants to go, the big thing that still has to get determined is it a 3-bedroom house or is it not? And really, I think the assessors are the most appropriate ones to make that determination for you.
So you recommending that she goes through the assessor first?
So I think you guys could have an agreement in principle, but that's gotta get answered before you can.
And it still has to go through zoning
Yep.
as well.
Yeah, that's gonna take 2 months, so
Yeah.
whatever I need to do for then, I'm not even gonna have a business left by then, so it doesn't matter.
Well,
This was an established business that has been shut down for 2 months already.
we're trying to
I
help you
know,
out
I
as much as we
just-
can. Yeah. We know the struggles of going through the town for permitting. It's a pain in the butt, for sure.
I never had to do this at my old house, so this is all new for me.
So, do we have to put together, I mean, we've got a little bit of time, but that's generally what we're gonna do at this point, right? So we're pretty good.
Mr. Chairman, what are you gonna do?
Whatever the board agrees on.
It's gotta go through the zoning first. When it clears zoning, with what we have for a recommendation, I think we're fine.
Hmm.
Once the zoning is finalized that, what we proposed,
Yeah, zoning and
Hmm.
assessors.
And
office
assessors.
So basically, what we're gonna do is approve with
Some limitations.
limitations that zoning approves first, before our decision will be made. How would I put that? Right?
Yeah, so I guess,
Our
you know-
determination is
Yeah.
based on the number of bedrooms. We have to
Yeah.
get the designation of the number of bedrooms
Right,
before we can make a recommendation on water usage.
right.
So,
Because if it stays at a 4-bedroom, she would need a new septic system.
correct.
Yeah, or a new tank or something to.
a tight tank or whatever.
Okay, yeah,
And to have the zoning put down to a 3-bedroom, deeded 3-bedroom,
yeah.
then,
So hypothetically, the tight tank needs state approval, which takes 3 more months, correct? So if we wait till the zoning,
So what
and then I
they're,
have to,
what they're talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's not the tight tank. It's the septic
Right,
system.
but
that you have to
if-
say.
how long does
If-
it take
so
to
what
get
I
the
would say
assessor
is-
then?
I would tell the board to give her direction to go to the assessors and find out how
Cause
many.
I don't wanna wait till zoning
Yeah,
in
so-
2 months and then have to wait
I
another
think,
3
you know,
months.
they can't make a decision, because right now they're working under assumptions that they
Right.
don't know to be true. So if you go to the assessors and say, can you come through my house and determine whether I have 3 or 4 bedrooms,
Mhm.
then that'll give the board, I think, what, the information that they need in order to actually
Okay.
make a decision.
You understand?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that
Yeah.
I could do that now and not wait
Yeah.
till my
Oh, no,
zoning,
you
'cause
could probably
that-
do that, go to the assessor tomorrow morning.
right.
as soon as you get the answer from them, and that should be simple to do. I mean, it shouldn't
Okay.
take a long time to do that, but we basically have made our mind up with that being the ace in the hole for us, that we're all set with you doing it once that is granted.
No, I understand the
Mm.
logistics of that.
And that's why I
So,
decided to look at the drawing, so I knew exactly what we were talking about.
All right,
Okay, so you are continuing until the 13th at 5:30?
that is correct.
And I've been tested for COVID, and no, I don't have it.
And you've probably
Fully
had,
vaccinated.
and you've probably had 35 shots by now.
I got actually all 3 of them,
Yeah.
and then I got my flu shot, so.
Man, can you talk to the residents of Townsend and see if they could just get their
I'd rather
first shot?
talk to the wall.
Okay,
So she doesn't have to come back on the 13th, though, if she doesn't hear from.
So, yeah, once you have the assessors,
yeah,
you know, whatever they're gonna say for the number of bedrooms, give Carla a call, you'll get on the next agenda,
Yeah.
and then the board can finish this discussion.
Okay, okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, 1.5, 22 Main Street, proposed dog boarding facility.
So I'll go through this pretty
Yeah.
quick. So I got a call from a gentleman that was proposing the dog daycare business out there. I think there was some confusion at the last meeting. So one of the things I have written in here is that really the only difference between residential and commercial use as far as the system goes is the tank design. So a single-family house only needs a single compartment tank, and anything other than a single-family home requires either a two-compartment tank or tanks in series. And so existing out there, it was just a single compartment, 1,000-gallon tank, and it went to a, let's see, 20 by 50 leach field. So with it being just the 1,000-gallon single compartment tank, that wouldn't have met the requirements for anything other than a single family. And he would have been required under Title V to replace the tank with a two compartment or tanks in series that met that section. And when I told him that, he basically said, well, that kills my deal, I guess I'm all set. So I don't
So he's
expect
not
he's
even
coming
gonna
back.
bother then?
Yeah.
All right, let's remove that from the agenda. Okay. And if they change their mind, they'll come back and let us know. All right, so we'll go to 1.6, 78 Turner Road, septic upgrade with a variance.
And Chris from Dillis and Roy is here for this one. I did give it to you, Carla, so you've got our copy as well.
Okay.
Good evening,
Well,
everyone.
this must be different from what Stan does, huh?
Oh, yeah. We'll put
I have
Stan
that in my office.
Right.
Yeah, that's in my office, right? the
I
front?
just gave it to you. It's one of those two that I gave you.
Oh, it's behind it, thank you. See it,
Yeah,
open
that's
up.
up the hill.
The Turner Road's here. We're gonna come over and take a picture. Sure. There's a small intermittent stream that crosses Turner Road up here and wraps around the property and eventually becomes a Pumpkin Brook, I believe,
Yeah.
further down. So we try to keep our testing out of the backyard. Regular tests, there were some holes back in this area that weren't very good. There's an existing well here and a suction pump here. So we've got test holes here, here, and here. We placed the system here, trying to keep it as, far away from the well as we could, but still be in the test hole area. We end up with the system, I believe, being 70 feet, which is actually to the pump, to the suction pump, not from the well itself. It's about 71 or 72 to the well. So we're asking for the local upgrade to allow less than 100 foot from the well to the leach area. It takes up most of the property as it
Is
is.
this a new house?
No, this is an existing,
Okay.
upgrade for an existing house, yeah.
Very good, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that clear.
And it's gravity fed.
No, it's
got a
gonna have a
pump
tank,
tank.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the water table is pretty high there.
What do you got for a groundwater upset in the system? Is it
It's,
4
4
foot
foot.
separation.
4 foot, okay.
Yeah, that's the required in this.
Okay, I'll give you my opinion, and the opinion I'm gonna give you is that we've had these situations in the past. That's an artesian well,
Dug well.
it's a dug well.
Yeah, because it's a suction pump.
It's a dug well.
That's
with a
right,
suction
suction,
pump.
okay.
And how deep is it?
I didn't take that down when I was out there. I mean, they're typically 25 feet or so. Over in that part of town, there is higher groundwater, so you wouldn't have to go down as far as some of the other places that have sand and gravel. So that's kind of why I asked Chris to come, just because we don't typically see well offset reductions. And the thing that doesn't show up on that plan is that brook in the back, which they were trying to stay away from. And I think it was Jessica met you out there, right, Chris? From conservation.
I didn't mean her out there, but we did go out and take a look at it.
So, she had some concerns about the system moving around and wanted to look at it again if it did. But like Chris said, we had dug 3 test holes out there. The one that was closer to the road we didn't have enough depth of soil to meet Title V requirements. We started getting into saprolite, it was like crushed shale. And so you can't put a system in bedrock. And so we got those 2 holes that had just enough depth to soil, including the subsoil layer. And so that's why, Chris was saying that they tried to put it over those holes, because we knew we had depth in between the 2 of those.
Right.
Did you even check, I'm just asking because, I don't know, this is Jim's
Right.
thing, but I mean, I'm looking at, you're 71 feet from the well.
Mhm.
Did you guys even put any test holes anywhere further away?
Not while I was out there, so the only ones that were done when I was out there was those 3, and there was one just a little bit farther kind of over in this area where they had scratched around and kind of were having similar results to this one.
So nobody went up this way away from the well?
We didn't, but that's where you start to get into that,
That's for
brook
sure.
that comes
Right,
back around
right,
here.
the property drops off here, and you start to get down into the wet areas down there.
Oh, it does drop
Oh,
off?
okay.
Okay,
Well, that makes sense.
all right.
All your shale's up that end, so you can't put it up there.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve this drawing as read with the 1 variance to the well offset, and leave it at that.
A second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
And let's all sign this one.
What's this one?
That is 78 Turner.
Oh, the signature, yeah.
Yes.
there.
Yes.
Want me to put my head on?
Okay. Next, we have 102 Brookline Road, septic upgrades with local variance.
I got a copy.
Okay,
I got a copy.
you don't have the new ones, though, do you?
This is the new one.
Oh, cool, okay, so you got copies for me?
No, I don't, because it's not signed by the boss yet.
Alright.
What do we have here?
So this is 102 Brookline Road, located, Brookline's here, existing house here with a garage. We're proposing a Presby leach area back here. On this one, we are asking, it was 2-minute material, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-minute material. So it's got a 5-foot groundwater requirement. We're asking for a 3-foot separation based on the Mass DEP approval of the Presby system that allows for a 2-foot reduction of the groundwater offset. And what that allows on this site is for us to maintain a gravity system and not have to pump it.
Yeah.
We just make the slope with the 2-foot groundwater.
This has been one of those things in the past also I've experienced. He's still staying a foot below where it would have been 2, but it's gone down to 3. So with the Frisbee system, it's a different application, 2-minute perk, that's a no-brainer, so I suggest to the board that we approve it.
Can we have a motion?
I think Jim just made that.
Was that the motion?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so moved.
Can we get a second?
I'll second.
All
Okay,
in
second.
favor?
Aye.
And that's,
Cool.
Aye.
Aye, oh, yeah, aye.
All? So moved.
And so I'm just, until I get those copies and his signed cert, I'll just hold on to
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. I should have that tomorrow,
Okay.
the signed thing. Actually, I should have the signed plan tomorrow too.
This one here is,
Greg's leaving for
Okay.
Thanksgiving tomorrow
The next one?
afternoon, so.
Okay, yeah, take care of the file.
Yeah,
All right,
my
so
old
it takes Brookline.
mailbox is gonna get loaded up, I'm sure.
You can keep that one, I'm gonna take the 102 Brookline now.
Okay.
All right, so this is, this one.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, so, do you want to, so, actually.
Stable
Rick's-
regulation.
Rick's-
Well, Rick should
Rick's
stay
gonna-
here for the rest of these.
Yeah, he's gonna stay anyways. Let's do the stable regulations 1.8, and I believe that puts Gavin on the floor.
So, I've been having conversations with my wife. I guess the zoning board is doing a chicken law.
Oh, so they're finally doing something.
I think
Yes.
Eric had written something for them that I think they're considering a change to the existing bylaw, just
Yeah.
to make it more clear and easier to enforce.
Yeah,
For household chickens?
Yeah,
probably keeping them on your own property and,
yeah.
and not make them free range to go wherever they please. You wanna do the same with horses?
Well, we should probably do some sort of a collaboration here
Yeah.
on what's going on.
Yeah, so do you want to?
So we're not doing double work and contradicting each
Yeah.
other?
I would love to have Julie come to our meeting, because I haven't seen her in a while.
She refuses?
But if we can get someone from the board, that probably their chairman, to come and talk to us, that would be great, so that we can see what they're doing and maybe work with them, so that what we do and they do work together and we all live happily ever after.
If I may.
Yes, you may.
Gavin, do you know if they have a point of contact that one particular board person that is?
Well, I think we have a liaison who is the liaison.
Chaz.
I mean,
Okay, is
I
he
don't-
the,
I don't
is
know
he
how
the
these-
liaison for the zoning board?
I think he's all the boards.
I assume.
Okay,
Yeah,
well
I think
then
he
let's.
does the boards. Joe does fire, public safety, and Veronica does financial.
Okay, well then I will send an email out, I will CC you, and the three of us will work together about setting up some type of meeting where we can all collectively talk about what's going on. How's that?
I think that's fantastic.
You have a member of the audience raising their hand.
Yes, sir.
Talk to Beth Fax, and she's the admin for ZBA.
Beth is.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Beth, okay, so
Yeah.
you get Beth involved, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So that's where, yeah.
Yeah,
that's my-
well, I would
My
still,
thought.
I would still like to involve our liaison,
mhm,
because, you know,
100%.
mhm.
let him know, and if he wants to get involved, that would be a good thing.
We'll have a group email that will start circulating, and it will
Ooh.
only include Gavin, so when he
Yeah.
replies to everyone, we will not be violating the Board of Health.
We will bring up open meeting law violations.
Exactly.
Yes, we do not want to do that ever.
Okay,
That's why we never get to talk to each other.
okay.
What's your name?
Colin, yeah. Colin Walters, by the way.
Don't go there. Don't go there.
All right, so that's what we'll do, and if we have to set up a separate meeting for that, other than our next meeting, I think that might be better, because that might be time consuming.
We'll keep it on the agenda
Yeah.
and just keep you updated until. we
Yeah,
need to
until
bring
you
it to the
guys
board.
come up with something, and we can find a date somewhere that we can all get together and
Okay.
have beer and pizza and have fun.
Okay, I will move that then down to future agenda items until we actually know when it's gonna come back, okay?
Yes, you got it, dude.
There,
Okay, that's going down there.
okay,
Now, we'll go to 1.4, which we agreed on.
1.9.
1.9, which we agreed on a long time ago, and we still haven't got it passed yet, Rick.
So,
We actually agreed that we wanted to raise the fees to $50,
food
Uh,
permits.
food
for
permits.
those who don't know.
that we had a ridiculous $5 food permit for forever, which is absolutely foolish. It irritates people more than anything else, and we agreed to it, but we're waiting on you.
yeah, so I talked to Jim Gariffi today about it, and he had said that as far as he knew, it was, I think you guys and Berlin were the only towns that collected that additional
Yes.
food service fee. So he said as far as he could tell, you had to vote on a new fee and just apply it to your fee schedule. The only thing that he said is that if you're gonna go from $5 to $50, you have to be able to substantiate the $50. Do you do $50 worth of work for every food permit that comes through the door?
Absolutely.
So that's because, we end up doing a lot of work for it, so we get like $125 a permit. So the only thing that he cautioned is if you're gonna increase it, make sure that you can substantiate the increase.
So Neshoba, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so we charge, so we do food service renewals at the end of every October, and we charge a fee, and it really depends on their operation. So I think the cheapest is somewhere around $125 or $150, and they go all the way up to a place like a grocery store that pays, I think, $500 for their permit. And then, so you guys are collecting on top of that. And I think, Carla does do administrative stuff with it. How much, I don't know. But that was the only thing that he had said was just, if you're gonna change the fee, our fees are collected to basically take care of whatever administrative fees or other costs that come along with issuance of the permit. And so make sure that they, you know, whatever the fee is that you're gonna charge, you can substantiate it.
I think that, before you go, Cal, I honestly think that this has been $5 forever, and the cost of living has gone up, the cost of you has gone up, and I can see it very well, that we could justify it just by the amount of time that you'll put into it, that, you know, I don't see a problem with it. This isn't, you know, 1930 where $5 was sufficient.
I mean, the other part too is, you know, if you wanted to come up with a more complex fee schedule like we have and base it on the number of seats, you know, maybe it might make a little bit more sense, because if you're looking at like a mom and pop pizza shop that pays like $150, you know, $50 might be substantial to them compared to Hannaford's that's bringing in, you know, quite a bit of money. So you could kind of base, you know, look at our fee schedule, see what we collect, and then you know, increase your fees based on what they do there.
Yes, Colin?
Okay, I would very much like to do what Rick has said, because, first of all, it's $5. The businesses don't understand it. By the time they write the check, they put it in the envelope and they stamp it, they say it's ridiculous. So they understand that nobody understands where it came from. But when I try to track these things and I go to the town clerk, they don't have any expiration date. So I get a page of 20-something pages of people who at some point had a food permit. And to send out letters to everyone reminding them. I don't necessarily know that it's worth $50, but there is an administrative time that I spend. And again, Rick, I think that's an excellent idea to see what your fee schedule, because I think it really should be based on the size of the operation.
What do you think, gentlemen? Jim, you first.
I'm 100% agreeable to the size of the operation, because I think that's basically the guidelines statewide, depending on the size of the restaurant.
Yep.
And there might be a cap that once you exceed 100 or whatever, it's a different scenario for the price.
Yeah, so I think it starts at 25 seats or less, and then it goes to over 250. And there's, you know, different pieces in between,
Your fees are different for each.
depending on the number of seats that they have. So, you know, at this point, we've already gone through food service permitting for this year, so it won't affect things until next year, which is good, because you'll have an opportunity to get the word out there. But I guess what I'm saying is you have a little bit of time to make the decision.
Right.
So I could come in with our fee schedule for Neshoba at the next meeting, and you could take a look at it and see if you want to kind of use something similar, but just up your fees from $5, and then have it max out at, you know, whatever you think is reasonable based on the type of establishment.
Okay. I had on future meetings, I had the permit and fee schedule update for 22 to 24, because you typically do it for a 3-year period, and we haven't done it since 2019, so you are up, set for January. So we're already into December. I think your December meetings are filled. Maybe the second week in January, where we don't really have to push this so much because the.
Yeah, well, you're not collecting the fees until October of next year. So we have time, but I would like to get it done early.
Right, and you want to make sure the vendors know.
Yes, that we get word to them that fees
Okay.
are changing.
Mr. Chair, can I make a suggestion?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna suggest that we do this in small intervals, possibly over 3 years, so that we're not
Okay.
charging these people right away. And if you started at, say, the increase from 5 to 25,
Right.
and then in another year, make it $15 more, but in 3 years, get it to where we feel comfortable with it.
You did that with the tobacco permit fees, which
Yeah.
also is, it started out, I think it was 125, and now we're up to 275, and that is, so next year, that's again why you have to look at your permit fee schedule every 3 years, you seem
Yeah.
to be doing these
Okay.
things. Okay,
That's actually a great idea. You
All right.
agree with that, Gavin?
I like that.
Yeah, I like that myself. All right, so what we'll do is, we'll carry this into January and get some more information out of Rick, which is his pay scale. So we'll get an idea that we can actually sit down, look at it, discuss it when, you know, you've got $250 for 2,000 seat place, which we know we don't have. I'm just throwing numbers.
another excellent idea, seeing as how we are not in a time constraint, is to see what our revenue numbers are, because once and I don't think we're gonna have that till probably March, but it would be really nice to see what the revenue is coming in
What do you mean?
for,
each-
for all your
each place?
permits.
Yeah.
Your hauler permits are between $2,200 and $2,800. Your septic permits that you initiated, the $25 fee, has quadrupled.
Yeah,
You know, so you're bringing in, and I think it would be good for you to look at those numbers before you start increasing fees to see, oh geez, this looks a little, the food permit.
We can't price out the fees, we have to go.
no,
on
no, I
it
understand,
Mhm.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be good for you to see years, a couple of the last 3 years, of what's increased and what stayed the same. So I will look to get that as well.
Okay, so you'll have that for,
Whenever
in January we get that.
Whenever the revenue numbers change, we
Yeah.
don't, we're out of a tax collector right now, so I don't know when that's gonna happen.
tax collector, fire chief,
Anyway, can we move the meeting?
yes, please. All right, where are we headed now?
And you're at Three Wheeler Road,
Yes, manure compost management,
we're gonna
So, do you
continue
want me
that.
to-
gonna
just
continue
say
that
real
for the
quick.
next meeting. I
So,
think.
within the site assignment decision that you guys had made, one, or actually, there was two separate items. So one had to do with composting of materials on site, that they needed a plan approved by the Board of Health before
Right.
they could do it. And the other part was just spreading of different byproducts associated with it. They needed a plan for that before they could be approved. So Carla had got this, it was dated November 14th. It is pretty long, it's I think about 33 pages. And so I haven't had an opportunity to look through it yet, so you know, if it's possible, if we can move it to the next meeting, and that would give me a chance to review it, and also throw some of the stuff by Mass DAR to get their comments on it. I think that would be helpful.
Okay, well,
I
let's-
did not,
let's
I did
move
not
that.
copy the whole 33 page, I just left the cover letter in your packages.
Yeah,
So,
that's-
but I will definitely, if I haven't emailed that to you, I thought I did, but I will definitely make sure to email it to you again.
Yes, okay, so we'll, Carla, put that on our meeting for
Next meeting.
December 13th.
We should probably see if we can get Andrew or Gary to come in
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
I think that they'll be a little bit more available, where it's not 2 days from Thanksgiving.
Okay, let's,
And that brings you to 198 Wheeler Road.
oh, that's the, yeah,
Got it.
you got it, dude. Well, all right. Rick?
So, this is a property there where there's a existing house, and an existing well, and an existing system, but the plans are to, so this is, Pierce Road goes down to a dead end, on this side, and, so this is the last house on the left before you hit the dead end.
Ha! There's a movie on that.
Yeah. So, existing house is up here, existing well's up here, and, I don't know what the existing system is. But, they plan to demo that house and build a new house farther back on the property. They do wanna continue to use the existing well, so I did put a requirement on the permit that they test that well and prove a potable source before they get a building permit on this.
The pool's staying, I'm assuming.
Well, they haven't indicated whether it's staying or going, but, they've indicated the barn's going and
Yep.
the house is going.
Is that fenced in?
And the deck staying?
It has to.
They've got a fence right here,
Yeah.
these access.
Okay.
And the deck staying?
I would assume probably not,
Well, I'm just looking at the way they draw that up. That one
unless they're keeping it as a part of the pool.
outside the fence? Interesting.
Yeah. So, what we've done first back here, so, they're proposing just a 1,500 gallon 2-compartment tank to 4 trenches, gravity fed, reserve area, these dash trenches over here. And it's, new construction, so they're not asking for any variances, it is in, full compliance with your regional Title V.
We supposed to prove this tonight?
That's what they're asking for. Yeah.
All right, anybody got questions?
Maybe that's
Well,
correct.
Yeah.
I don't have
It's a pretty straight.
Yeah,
it's
cut and dry.
Yeah, it meets all the
Well,
requirements.
it's
My only
all-
concern,
It's all new, it's not, you
Yeah.
know.
The only stipulation is getting a report on that and making sure it's got 5 gallons a minute.
that's what I wanna do, so I
Yeah.
had put that on here as a
Yeah.
requirement.
And it
We
doesn't
put
have
that
any,
in for a stipulation approving this, that you get the,
So what I put on here is, A water test must be conducted per Townsend Well regulations to prove a potable supply, and it's prior to sign off on a building permit for the new proposed well.
Oh, okay.
Would this be feasible to say that we wanna have the results back from the well test first before we sign this, or we could sign this out of meeting?
You could ask them, I mean, we can go at it another way, because they bought the property and they didn't test the well, and that's really why I put it on there. But if you wanna go at it through the well regulations, then we could ask them to do that right now.
That would give us more cover for ourselves to make sure everything is appropriate,
Okay.
because if that gets delayed or whatever, they get a signed permit, I don't feel comfortable with that.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you, when you do your well test, you're testing for, what'd you say, 5 gallons a minute?
You gotta have
So-
5 gallons a minute plus 100%, you want no radons or anything else in
Yeah.
it.
So you're actually testing the
So it's
water
not,
also?
you know, five gallons per minute is, if it's 5 gallons per minute, it's probably okay. There's more calculations that go into
Yeah.
determining whether it's adequate. And it's based on the number of bathrooms and bedrooms in the house. But we could either look for a well completion report on that well, or we could have them do that if that's something that you guys wanted.
Opposed?
I think I'd be more comfortable to know the well results before we sign the permit.
Okay.
Is there, I guess, I'm only asking because I don't know. As far as, you know, this is obviously your new proposed water service. Is there anything about length of pipe or size to?
Not in your regs, no.
No? Okay. All right, so then basically what we want to do is have this tested first
Okay,
before we sign that?
okay. Yeah, I can ask them that.
Okay.
And once it's been approved by
Right.
Rick, you can just let us know, and we can come in and sign it on our own.
Yeah,
We don't have to have another meeting for it.
right.
Could I have a motion on that, Jim?
Make a motion that the drawings are accepted as drawn by the Board of Health after receiving the fact that the well is in adequate condition to satisfy the house. Something like that.
I got it.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Rick, is that it for you?
That is it.
Okay, so our next meeting is gonna be the 13th at 5:30, and I will see you tomorrow?
Yep.
Okay, sweet.
How soon can that well test be done?
I'll send them a letter, well, I'll give them a call to see if we can take care of it that way, but then I'll send them a letter, and, you know, as fast as they can take care of
Yeah,
it.
just
so.
assume. Because it's already tapped in, so you just gotta go pull a water sample.
Yeah, the house is still there and everything, I don't know if it's got power, so that would be the biggest question. But you could run just a well off of a generator.
Yeah,
That's what
okay.
I'm trying to do.
That's good, I like that. I think the board likes that.
Do you wanna hang on to this, or do you want me to, Rick?
If you wanna hang on to it for now.
I'll just keep it in your box.
Okay, work session 1.12.
Invoices,
Yeah.
Weston and Sampson, just a little monitoring, as you know. Complete Recycling Solutions came back with, Harley didn't pay us for a bill in July, and I said, well, that's because you keep telling us that I'm paying for transportation, which I won't. So it came from $494 down to $404. Just to let you know, in the last 4 months, you spent $2,751 in disposing of batteries, bulbs, and electronics. That equals out to be about $687 a month. Okay, but we don't know how long some of those TVs and things, and those bulbs and batteries have been sitting there for at least a year. So you can't really gauge it off of 4 months, but I can tell you, we're averaging between $1,100 and $1,400 in one day at the recycling center. So if this is costing us $687 a month to dispose of, I think we're doing okay. So, that's that. Little bit more travel than I usually have, but I don't know why. What did I do? I think
I thought you were gonna hit me.
Sorry, I did a couple of visits. I was at the recycling center a lot because we had the new book bins come in and the dumpsters and things like that. And I met with a couple of new residents down at Sauna Row. The neighbors arguing over property lines and the septic that's going in. And then we have mass toss, which unfortunately, we're supposed to opt out of every year in January, which I apologize, I honestly do not remember what we were doing in January of this year that we didn't opt out.
I think
So,
we had a lot of COVID stuff
I think
still
we were
going
just
on.
running around with COVID
Yeah.
so much. So the good news is that you have tests until the end of June. And there's a lot of grants that I'm gonna ask her to assist with, but we must make a motion to opt out before the second week of January, and we're so close to November, I would respectfully ask the board to do that today,
Today, yeah.
so we can make sure that we don't get this, that contract
We're-
isn't up
we're
for another
stuck with
2
her.
years.
We're stuck with her for this year, right?
Right,
Yeah.
but you're not up for your contract, so, and that's one of the reasons why we rejoined, for Tessa is really important for contract negotiations. So I don't feel that we really need to spend that $6,000 for the next 2
No.
years.
Absolutely not. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we opt out of, what is that, mass toss,
Yes.
after this year.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, so that takes care of that. Here's another one. That's that one done.
And then minutes, we have a couple of minutes for review right there, if someone would like to look at them. There's just 2 September and 1 of October's.
Yeah,
And while you're looking at that, I'll just let you know that the Waste Zero overflow bag contract renewal is still with the legal counsel, just making sure that the contract for renewing is status quo. So that will go off, and your future agenda items, you're still gonna look at your septic regulations in the spring. We talked about the permit and fee schedules being set up for January.
and we got
Your
a
next
meeting.
meeting is scheduled for 5:30, and stable regulations have gone to future agenda items until we can get an update of when we're gonna meet together with 2 boards. And that is all I have.
Okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, may I make one little, I didn't think about it earlier, but I'd like to make a comment to the board.
Absolutely.
I had an opportunity for an invite from Mr. Shepherd to go look at the new slaughterhouse.
Yes.
I went up on a given afternoon, and I ran into a Mr. McMillan that is from Lunenburg,
Yes.
and he gave me a tour of the slaughterhouse before anything actually happened. The place is immaculate and
Right.
beautiful.
Okay.
Isn't it?
It's excellent.
Yeah.
They get about a 5'6" plucker. I've never seen a plucker so big, and it's all automated. And then on Saturday, I got another phone call from Mr. Shepherd about 1:15, inviting me to go see the process in motion.
Really?
So I took it upon myself. I said, with an invite, I will indeed go up.
Yeah.
So I went up, I met Mr. Shepherd there, and he gave me a full tour, had me put on the beard mask, the
Yeah.
whole bit, and took me through the thing backwards, because you didn't want to contaminate anything in the clean end, or
Right.
stuff on your feet, etc. And watching the whole process, the way it's done, it's automated. They actually put the birds down, and the fact that he actually showed me everything that's going off-site, nothing's on-site.
Right.
I want to thank the board for assisting, because they're trying to give me the credit for helping make that happen, and I don't deserve it. And I said to them, I did what was right.
Yep.
So I just wanted that to be known, because we all did it together, it was not me individually.
And we all agreed on it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I just had to share that with you.
Thank you, I appreciate that, Jim. Very much so. All right, so can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 8:04 PM.
Secondly,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Thank you, I wanted
Thank
to be
you.
home by 8:30.
Carla, do I